Joe Catalano with an AM Quincy news update for Monday, October 20th. A small fire forced a temporary evacuation of part of a Quincy apartment building early this morning. Officials say the blaze broke out in a trash chute on the 8th floor of the Neponset Landing apartment complex at 2 Hancock Street in North Quincy just after 1 a.m. That fire triggered the building's sprinkler system, which doused the flames. The 8th floor was temporarily evacuated until firefighters gave the all clear. The cause of the fire is under investigation. There were no reported injuries. Well, protesters are expected to gather outside Quincy City Hall tonight before Mayor Thomas Koch is scheduled to speak to the City Council about the city's $1.6 billion in debt. Protesters are expected to highlight ongoing lawsuits against the city regarding proposed statues of saints outside the new public safety complex and a ballot petition dealing with the mayor's annual salary. Judges are now reviewing both cases in Norfolk Superior Court. Last week, a judge issued a preliminary injunction against the statues being installed until that case is resolved. And another judge is reviewing the rejection of a ballot question that would ask voters to decide the mayor's annual salary. City Clerk Nicole Grispo says that she's confident the city followed proper procedures when certifying signatures on the ballot petition. The ballot question was denied based on lack of enough signatures. However, 2 lawsuits are challenging that decision. In the meantime, the ballots for the November 4th election have been printed and are being sent out to people who requested mail-in ballots. Early voting begins this Saturday at Quincy City Hall. The mayor is scheduled to appear before the City Council at 6:30 tonight at City Hall. The Quincy Citywide PTO is hosting a virtual school committee candidates night tonight at 7 p.m. All 6 candidates for 3 school committee seats will participate in the forum, which will be moderated by a student panel. You can visit quincycitywidepto.com or email pto.citywide@gmail.com for more information. The Quincy Animal Shelter's 2nd annual charity golf tournament is scheduled for today at Granite Links in Quincy. The event featuring raffles, auctions, breakfast and dinner, and unlimited range balls. Visit QASCharityGolfTournament.org for more information. The City of Quincy Community Development Office is holding a Public Services Road Show. Representatives from the city, Quincy College, Quincy Asian Resources, Quincy Community Action Programs, Mannett Community Health Center, the South Shore YMCA, and Mass Hire South Shore Career Center are holding informational presentations across the city. The next presentation will be Tuesday from noon to 2 at the Hausneck Community Center on C Street. Well, over 100,000 people gathered at the No Kings rally in Boston on Saturday. Other rallies were held across the state, including in Quincy Center, where several thousand people gathered on the Hancock-Adams Common, with Congressman Stephen Lynch speaking at the event. No arrests were reported in Quincy or Boston. Mayor Michelle Wu, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Senator Ed Markey were some of the speakers. In Boston, protesters gathered in inflatable costumes, including unicorns, lobsters, and frogs, while carrying signs on Boston Common. Similar rallies were held nationwide to protest against President Trump and his policies, in particular federal agents arresting immigrants. Among the groups that partnered with No Kings were the ACLU, Veterans for Peace, Planned Parenthood, the National Organization for Women, and Greenpeace. The White House has dismissed the No Kings protests, President Trump downplaying the protests before a cabinet meeting last week. Previous rallies were held nationwide back in June, including in Boston, which happened to coincide with the city's Pride Parade. No Kings said the rallies in June totaled millions of people. The Republican Party described Saturday as a day of Hate America rallies. A Massachusetts real estate broker has been arraigned on embezzlement and larceny charges that came about following the abrupt closure of his firm late last year. Stephen Webster, who served as the longtime broker and principal of Success Real Estate, was indicted by a Plymouth County grand jury on September 12th. An arrest warrant was issued for Webster and entered into a national database. His apprehension in Palm Beach County, Florida on September 30th was the result of law enforcement cooperation between multiple agencies, including the state police. Following his extradition to Massachusetts last week, the 63-year-old pleaded not guilty in Brockton Superior Court on Friday to charges including embezzlement, witness intimidation, and filing false financial statements. Webster was ordered held on $100,000 cash bail, a fraction of the $500,000 that was sought by prosecutors. Success operated for decades across southeastern Mass before its sudden closure in December that ultimately revealed there was over $1 million in client escrow funds unaccounted for and about $500,000 in unpaid commissions owed to company agents. Officials say a months-long investigation uncovered South Shore Bank and Rockland Trust records, accounting ledgers, and witness interviews that indicated a pattern of systemic financial misconduct by Webster between 2023 and 2024. Webster allegedly misappropriated funds held in escrow, transferred client deposits into business and personal accounts, and submitted false financial documentation to regulators, including a forged bank letter claiming that his company's escrow account held more than $900,000, when in reality it contained only a few $1,000s. Employees were blindsided by the firm's closure that was delivered without warning that left clients, agents, and counterparties in limbo. Many were actively engaged in pending real estate transactions, where Success was holding buyer deposits in escrow and owed substantial commission checks. If released from jail, the DA's office says Webster must relinquish all travel documents, remain in Massachusetts while his case is pending, and meet with probation services on a regular basis. Webster, who was represented by Shannon Burns, is next scheduled to appear in court on November 13th for a pre-trial conference. Well, the Massachusetts Senate has unanimously approved a bill to broaden the state's move-over law, expanding protections for roadside workers and motorists. The measure would require drivers to slow down and ideally switch lanes when passing utility trucks and disabled vehicles with flashing lights stopped on the shoulder. Currently, the move-over law only requires drivers to use caution when passing an emergency vehicle with flashing lights. Motorists must slow down, and if the road has two or more lanes going in the same direction, move over one lane away from the emergency vehicle. Violators face a $100 fine for failing to adhere to the law. The new proposal also increases fines for first-time violations and imposes harsher penalties for repeat offenders. Drivers who repeatedly break the law may be ordered to enroll in a driver education program. Lawmakers hope the changes will improve roadside safety and reduce the likelihood of collisions with stopped vehicles. The bill will head to the Senate committee for consideration before moving to the House. Check of business news this morning. Stocks are higher. The Dow was up 238 points. The Nasdaq rose 117, and the S&P added 34. Asian markets surged today after Wall Street finished a winning week, overcoming worries over bank lending and the trade war with China. The dollar rose. The euro was up. Oil at $56 a barrel. Sports. Big win for the Patriots over Tennessee, 31-13. The Utah Mammoth beat the Bruins 3-2. The Bees are back home tomorrow night, 7:30 against the Panthers. Today's forecast from the National Weather Service is calling for scattered showers, maybe the rumble of thunder around midday, with highs today in the mid-60s. Gradual clearing tonight at a low of 54. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high 64. More showers on Wednesday, high of 64. And Thursday, sunny, high 58. The marine forecast calling for 2 to 3 foot waves. The wind south at 15 to 20, gusting to 30 knots. and a high tide 11:22 a.m. Sunrise 7:02 sets at 5:53. I'm Joe Catalano with an AM Quincy news update for Monday, October 20th.